two short-term rental bros come together.
What?
Not in that way, bro. There's a podcast of truly epic proportions where we talk about all things short-term rental and shoot the shit along the way. Welcome to the Co-Host Bros Podcast. Here are your hosts, Matt Codd and Austin Spitz.
What is going on, everybody? This is another episode of the Co-Host Bros Podcast. My name is Matt Codd, and I'm here with my buddy Austin Spitz, who is no longer under the weather. And we have a special guest. We have Chase Gilmore, 2 L's from Maverick STR. So first I'll say what's up to Austin, and then we'll get it cracking with Chase. And, you know, what's new, Austin? Tell us your dog poop story. I'm sure everybody will love to hear it.
Yeah, everything's good, man. Nothing new, just overcoming this strain of the flu that was going around, but we're back. Feeling pretty good again, I guess. I just had my wife's having a baby shower this weekend, so I was tasked with picking up all the dog poop in the backyard, and I haven't done that since we moved into this new house. So it's like over like a year's worth of dog poop. Anyways, I posted on Facebook. That was my task. I delegated it to somebody else, and some kid in middle school, something. No, middle school. I think he was saving up for a gas scooter or an electric scooter, one of the two. And he happily came over and did it. He said he needed actually $75. I don't know if he was hustling me or not to get the scooter. That's what he had left. So I gave him 75 instead of 50. He picked up all the dog poop. I said, hey, if you want to, you can come every week. I'll pay you $15 a week. So he agreed to that. So now I've eliminated myself from that role. So
That's awesome.
Hope that can tie back into buying back your time and tie it into this podcast. But that's the news with me. So big stuff.
Yeah. And
Don't
the start of a
pick
new
up dog
business. We're all going to partner.
Yeah. Austin Pooper Picker-Uppers.
There we go. Hey,
I think we just spend the next hour just coming up with names. I think that the viewers would like that.
I think people will be amused. I mean, we could just come up with all kinds of cool names and have them vote on who thinks is the best. They don't need to know anything about you. We'll just do it again and figure it out.
We'll just we'll call this shit talk, and we'll just talk about poop.
There you go. I like it. See, on our level, I love it.
Oh.
Shit talk. All right. Well, Chase, tell us about what you do, and then go into like your background and how you started everything, and and just lead us from there. And then also let us know when you decided to grow the mustache, as you know, your professional picture on Facebook doesn't show that mustache. And
I know, right? I like to surprise people.
I'll
start with the mustache. Well, I'm gonna be a father soon, so I figure it's a good time to start rocking the mustache for photos. So grew out of that, no pun intended. But I do a lot of things in the space. I manage 8 properties. I'm going to pick up another 3 or 4 in the next few months, build direct booking sites, do marketing for hosts, SEO, Facebook ads, everything you can name. So I kind of just do a little bit of everything, kind of a jack of all trades and kind of a Swiss Army knife. So if someone needs help, I can usually solve their problems. And I love helping people. Like, I'm sure you've seen me active in the groups and just responding to people. Love to give out free advice and just help people wherever they're at, because I think if you just continue to bring value to people, like, you build partnerships and relationships, so it just opens up the doors for opportunities.
Yeah, that's for sure. So what got you started into the real estate space? I don't know if this is the only real estate that you do. I'm just letting everybody know we don't pre-plan. We just go because we're hardcore. So just go ahead and, give us the whole, like, what you were doing before, what caused you to make this jump, and just give us the whole rundown.
So I've been an entrepreneur for 6-7 years now. I started my own marketing agency. I worked for a couple big agencies, and I got a lot of great experience, but I always was like, I can do this myself. So I had a tough 2018, lost some close family members, my father, my grandparents, and I got laid off, actually. So I was like, this is a perfect time to just do it myself. So I went and traveled the world for a bit, soul searching, came back, started my own company, and It was tough, I'll tell you, to go from zero money, zero clients to building clients on your own. It was tough. But I ended up building it up pretty big to where we were doing in our best year. We did 650,000 in revenue for my marketing agency, which allowed me to buy a house, my first property. Because with such a big year, I was like thinking through tax savings, tax loopholes, and I was like, the best way is the STR loophole to own a property, and I was interested in it too, so it was a win-win. So I bought my first property in 2022 in Nashville, and then I found my love through that. Like it went really well, and I kind of like went all in on my property and kind of like pushed the agency to the side because I was just enjoying it a lot more. And then got a co-hosting client from that, and then just leveraged that experience, and it just keeps snowballing to where I am today.
It's awesome. Yeah, I love that. I mean, I love marketing too, so we'll have to get into that. And so are you still doing a marketing business? You still have a marketing business as well?
Yeah, so I have some legacy clients, but I'm not actively trying to grow it. I'm primarily doing marketing in the STR space, but I still through referrals and I built a direct booking website for a boutique hotel, and then the guy that owned it, him and his wife, like he had a wedding band, company. So I built his website. I'm doing his SEO. So it's just like, you know, I still do it for both sides of the coin, but definitely my focus and what I'm most interested is in the STR space. It's just a different world for sure because you know with the marketing clients specifically, I feel like I got burnt out. Like you can tell them you'd have a weekly call and be like, hey, we need to do this, we need to do this, and they just wouldn't listen to you, and then they're like, well, why aren't the sales where we're at? Because I gave you X, Y, and Z of how we can improve that. So it was, I even had some clients where one client in particular, it was like our goal is to reach 1 million in revenue this year. We hit that mark, we exceeded it, but they decided to hire somebody cheaper. And I was like, that's just insane. Like we worked so hard to get you your goal and we exceeded it, and then you still went with somebody else, that was cheaper. So those types of things, I was just like, I've kind of over this space, at least growing it myself because I still work with a white label for an agency and they kind of bring me some clients. So as long as I'm not the one that's like trying to grow the agency side, like I'm still working on, marketing clients specifically.
Yeah, so I think we had a call, you had a call with us a couple of weeks ago. Um, and you mentioned, I think, are you still in your W-2 job or you left that, right? So you're doing this full time, right?
Yeah, I left my W-2 when I got laid off like in 2018. So I've been an entrepreneur since. So
Oh,
I
okay.
started my
So
own.
it wasn't
Yeah,
recent
I was
then.
all yeah, I was all in on my agency in 2019 is when I officially started it. And then I went all in on STR specifically beginning of last year. So about 2 years full time because I was just doing it kind of as a side thing. I was like co-hosting a couple properties, and then I was like, I'm just gonna make this into an actual business. And then it's like kind of crazy how many things cross over into the space, with marketing, building sites, running ads, SEO. Like it's just an easy transition, honestly. So just doing something that I enjoy more because had some clients, that were like in the IT space or like in just things that just aren't very sexy and like you just don't have a passion for it. So it's nice to have a passion for what you're marketing.
So for let's say marketing in our space, and I'm not, I feel like Matt's better at this kind of stuff. But anyways, what's one big mistake that you see, smaller boutique, vacation rental operators? What's a mistake you see or some low hanging fruit that people aren't doing correctly that they could be doing, like that maybe you could share with our audience that
Yeah.
could help maybe move the needle in their business?
Yeah, I see it all the time. I actually just helped somebody a couple weeks ago. The number one thing I see is that they run Facebook ads just for link clicks. Like they don't have a pixel set up, they can't track any conversions. Like they're telling Facebook that they want people to click to the site, and Facebook thinks that it's doing a good job. Like that's not a high value conversion. So people are like, why are my ads working? Because like you're not telling Facebook what you want. Because you don't want a link click. Like that's great, but ultimately you want a conversion. So I've seen that pretty much with anyone where they're like, hey, can you look at my ad account? And it's like first thing I can almost guess. I'm like, are you running link clicks? And they're like, yep. And it's just no conversions because you don't have it set up properly for that.
And this is for direct booking sites, though, right?
Yeah.
Because we can't track conversions for Airbnb and VRBO.
Oh yeah, for direct booking. My mistake. Yeah, specifically for direct booking. The better strategy, honestly, is to run lead gen. So get their phone number, get their name, and their email, and then throw them into an email drip sequence where you can provide value, give discount codes like special offers, so you kind of entice them to join your mailing list for those special deals and discount codes. Because I've run ads specifically to get a direct booking. It's just so expensive, and the ROI is just not there. You could easily lose money. But running for leads, we're for one of my clients, we're seeing like a $2.50 cost per lead. So, once you get that person's info, you can just keep marketing to them, and you can cross market with other properties, which she has a ton. Um, so that's a good strategy. The other one would be if you have a really solid video, run cheap video views and retarget video viewers that are if it's a minute long video, 50%. So they've watched 30 seconds of your video. You at least know they're pretty interested, and then you can hit them with secondary retargeting messaging.
I think a lot of people don't know that. I actually had a meeting yesterday with Matt Sanderson, from STRIQ. We were talking about that. And I was telling him he has this video that he had, I guess, his VA or somebody create. I said, that video is really good. I said, you should probably run Facebook ads on it and see what percentage of them watch it,
Right.
and then, remarket, because now they're coming out with a 7-day free trial. Just so everybody knows, I got some codes for you. I'll let you know later. But I mean, 7-day free trial, things like that. And it's like, well, how do you market that? If you have that video and you can see those people that watch that video, and then you could retarget them and let them know, like, hey, you could try it for free for 7 days, give us a whirl. And we were talking a lot about that. I think that Facebook ads with Airbnb serve certain purposes. I mean, I run it on Airbnb listings, but I run it on Airbnb listings to even help me keep up top too. It's less work. I don't have to go and change a bunch of shit a lot of the time, because I'm getting the views. I mean, the problem is you can't track the conversions, but I mean,
Right.
I'm on those, I get them down to, like, I'll change the ad till I get it to about 4 cents a click. I get it 4 cents a click, then I'm not worried about
Solid.
it. It
Yeah.
is what it is.
Do
Yeah.
you feel like driving traffic artificially to the listings helps or hurts, like with the algorithm with Airbnb? Do you feel like
I feel like it does. I mean, if you target them, I mean, I think a lot of people run Facebook ads and they don't pay attention to where it's going. They're just like, oh, it's all US and this and that. And that's not the case. So, like, for instance, Austin's market, my market, we're a drive-in market. So, I mean, yeah, you get some people that come and take a flight, but 99% of the people are coming, they're driving. So it's like, I want to target the people within my local location, and I probably will see conversions at that, because I mean, at that point you're more like, more how many clicks, more you're getting so many clicks, eventually you're going to convert regardless, just because there's just so much. But I don't dump a lot of money into that. Like, I mean, I'll dump like maybe $90 a month into it. I figure
just
if I get one out of it, it doesn't matter. But yeah, just something small, just to keep the awareness, keep the views. And then sometimes I'll like retarget them, or sometimes I'll run it. Like, I will run it to my direct site, and I'll, run my pixel and things like that. But just kind of helps you, I think, keep up with the algorithm. I think Airbnb, sometimes they're just like, who's looking at what? Like, how many times are people looking at
Right.
this? So
Yeah.
that's where I see it beneficial, because you don't have that trust with that direct booking site.
Yeah, no, I feel that, which I try to solve with my designs. Like I include links to the other platforms. I also include like a phone that shows like the Airbnb listing, like with the guest favorite and all the reviews, just to kind of show, that trust like right away. Because people might see that and then still go book on Airbnb, but I got nothing to hide. You shouldn't have anything to hide about, your reviews on other properties. You want to showcase that for sure. But I definitely can see what you're saying. I think targeting is huge though. If you do have a customer list from past bookers at minimum, you should have that. But if you have like a stay-fi, where you're collecting all the people that stay there, you could throw it into a custom audience and create lookalikes, which I would highly recommend. 1% lookalike. It's going to be the closest match to people that are similar. That's probably the most Cold traffic is okay, but this is kind of like more of a warm traffic. So I definitely think, as far as targeting goes, that's something to know.
Yeah, and I think you should break that down. Like break down what the lookalike list is. So like the way I look at it, the way I would describe it to everybody is like if you're on Facebook and you see those ads for people who are coaching short-term rental people or any kind of short-term rental ad you see is more than likely you're on a lookalike list or you would like somebody involved somewhere. And I mean that's the way that I look at it. That's how I kind of try to
Yeah.
explain it.
Yeah. So basically,
But go ahead and break that down for everybody.
you plug in their info, so first, last name, email, phone number, all the parameters that you have on the person, and then Facebook will closely match. 1% is going to be the closest. You can go all the way up to 10%. So you can start to test of like 2%, 3%. I see good results with 3%. As you start to go a little bit higher in that percentage, it's getting away from how close of a match it is. So, it's worth testing to do like a 5 to 10% lookalike, just not a lot of spend, but just to see how it performs. So sometimes you'd be surprised, but definitely that 1%, of people. It would be even, definitely of the bookers, like creating that list. Like you don't want, like if you create a customer list of people that are like low action that didn't book or just signed up for something, like maybe not wouldn't be as good of a list, but definitely people that have booked and stayed there that have been interested, to create that high value lookalike.
So are you using StayFi in your properties?
I am, yeah. We've been collecting
You,
about a year now of names and emails. We've done a couple of campaigns in StayFi, around holiday vacancies and things like that, to get them to come back as well. I feel like I haven't really noticed anything specific from StayFi people rebooking. I feel like in my I'm talking about the property I own mainly. And naturally, I feel like a lot of people, they tend to not come back and rebook, even when they say they will. Like they could, stay in another place or stay in a different location. I just feel like it's the type of market where it's not like, a winter market where you stay at the same cabin every year, or like the same lake house with your family. I think it's just one of those, like, it's usually a birthday or a bachelorette. There's like usually another reason that you come there, not necessarily just to check out Nashville, even though it's a great city. But I think, I haven't seen too many people come back that book again, like who booked previously and then booked a second time so far. Some people have been interested, but it just hasn't really developed like that, like I thought.
I agree with you. I think it depends. It's market dependent. I think if, we're flying to St. George, Florida Island every year and we stay there every year and we find a great house, we're going to end up staying in that same house. But if I'm going to Nashville, I'm not like, I might not be going to your side of Nashville, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Or whatnot. So, or you might already be booked or I might not
Yeah,
even be thinking about it. But I think the constant reminders are good to have there,
right.
right? So that you
For
keep
sure.
them warm.
Yeah, I think the
Yeah.
party
So
size could change
what
too.
would
Like
you
you might come with 10, 15 people for a group thing, and then you come back with 2 people, you're probably not going to stay at my place, something like that as well. So
right? Yeah, I agree. What would you tell people like if I were to set up like a direct booking site today? Like what would be the top 3 things I should do on my booking site like SEO wise or even just, to get conversions? Like how should I set this up?
yeah, so make sure that you do some keyword research. Like you want to have your H1 match your target keyword. So whatever that is, if Nashville, rental property, that needs to be the H1 title. It needs to be in your title tag, and it needs
Explain
to
H1. Explain H1.
H1 is
We
like
don't build people don't build websites.
right. H1 is like the
Right.
main headline that you signify for the page. Like there's only one per page, so like you can have a bunch of H2s, which is like the sub headlines, but H1 you want to tell, Google and the search engines like this is my main headline, and you want to include, your target keyword in that.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
So what are a couple other ways? Like should I set it up as like a landing page or should I have a property with or like a listing page with all my properties on it? Like what would be the
Yeah.
best execution? Like if I, for instance.
Yeah. So
You know,
obviously,
if I'm running an ad or
if you have one property, a single landing page is great. You want to have a blog. You want to post consistent content for other keywords that you're after. Obviously, if you have multiple properties, you need a home page that will connect, to your other properties and have like an infrastructure in place that makes sense where they're actually linking together. You want to internally link between pages to let Google know, that it's all connected. But having a content strategy is huge, and I think that's what separates like a simple basic PMS direct booking site is like you can't create content. And like that's how you're gonna add more potential target keywords for people to find you in search. So, obviously step one is to create that landing page so people can find brand name and actually book. But from there you have to create content, you have to actually, set up all of the keywords throughout so that you are found in search basically. So it comes down to target research or keyword research for sure, utilizing a tool. There's a lot of good ones out there, but if you don't at least see what people are searching for, because you might be like, Nashville vacation rental, but if you do some research, you might find out nobody's searching for that. So you need to see what target keywords that people are actually searching for and their search volume for, because then you want to, set that as your target. And then also too, the difficulty. If a keyword is really difficult to rank for and you're a new website, you're not going to want to, have that pure target keyword because it's going to be really difficult for you because your domain rating is going to be very low, your authority is going to be really low. So finding something in that sweet spot that you can actually rank for.
so the Google's algorithm with your page is kind of similar to like Airbnb. Like if you're like relatively new, you rank lower with the keywords and things like that.
Yeah. Because if no one's linking to you, if you have no backlinks, you have no authority in Google's eyes. Like if you're a brand new website, not a single person is linking to you, like your rating is going to be pretty much like a new listing. Like you have no reviews, you have no people, no signals to Google that your website is worth pushing for content, right? So getting Google reviews, like setting up a Google business that's connected to your website, getting reviews from guests on your Google business profile is huge signals. Data aggregation, like putting your listing, on yellow pages, on various sites where you can like sign up your business and get backlinks to your website. That's usually kind of a simple way to do that.
So the more places you are, the better you rank, the more visibility you have. It's kind of like in the networking space, right? So
Yeah.
I'm going to switch gears a little bit to, so you're currently co-hosting, you're currently trying to build this co-host business. How are you obtaining clients? Are you marketing to them? And if you are, how are you marketing to them? We'll start with that.
Yeah, honestly, everything has been pretty organic. So, like creating content, like being active in groups, people start to just trust what you have to say, and it's become organic from that. So, I show my results in various groups, talk about things I've done, through revenue management, increase in revenue. And then people will reach out and be like, hey, you want to do revenue management for my property? Or like, hey, can you take a look at my listing and optimize it? And the relationships have grown from there. So pretty much all of them so far have been organic to where I haven't had to do much outreach. But obviously Airbnb has their co-host network, which, they just opened up for Nashville. So I switched over into the Nashville market and I've already had 2 people reach out. So that seemed like a good avenue as well. But I'm kind of at the place where I have a lot of different things going on that I don't like. I'm not trying to build to like 50 listings or 100 listings. That's not my goal. I want to have like a core amount of properties that are designed well, marketed well, that, working with the right owners that listen to feedback and are willing to improve the properties. Like that's what I'm ideally after. Because through the Coast Network in Charleston, someone reached out and they had 7 properties, which sounds great. But I did some research and, I think they're going to average about 30,000 a year in revenue, which I don't want 7 headaches. Like the reviews were horrible. There was a lot of issues with the property. A couple of them were like in apartments, so there's that difficulty of check-in. And I was like, yeah, the vanity numbers of saying like 25, 50 properties that you manage is great. But to me, I'm kind of at the point where it's like, if it's going to just cause more stress and headaches in my life, I'm not going to move forward with something like that. So I said no to that. And I'm very kind of like picky with the opportunities that do come through. But I've just been kind of growing it organically that way. Like I said, I have a couple in the pipeline, people that I've met and partnered with that I'm going to take on.
So it looks like you're doing a lot of stuff in the space. I guess my main question is like which one is your baby? Like which one are you focusing on? What business are you focusing on the most for growth? Playing the long-term game with. Because I think it's good to, have multiple businesses if that's something that you want to do. But like which one is like, are you trying to grow all of them equally, or do you have one that's like, hey, like this is where I want to go with this? Or
That's the million dollar
are you just trying a
question.
bunch of things out and you're like, hey, like we'll see what sticks and then I'll go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm successful in the different things I'm doing, and I'm still kind of figuring out where I really want to push the most. Like, because I've kind of dabbled in each of them. So co-hosting, building sites, SEO, marketing. Um, yeah, I mean, it's that's what I'm actively trying to figure out right now. I think direct bookings probably has the biggest need, for hosts. Like people are always asking about that, to build like a really good site that's not just like the basic, direct booking websites. They want SEO to be found, they want to run ads to be found and get bookings. So I kind of take it from the approach of where can I serve the market the best? Because I've considered doing coaching because I have coached people, but it's like I love helping people, but it's there's the side of coaching of like the sales aspect and trying to get people to join a program and you know so I've kind of I'm still trying to figure that out honestly, and I think with the kid on the way I'm trying to figure out what I can kind of outsource as well and what's gonna I could spend most of my time on because as you know my time's gonna start to get a lot more limited when I have that kid. So um, yeah, I wish I knew the answer because I'm trying to figure it out, but I'm kind of just doing everything at once and seeing kind of where I can grow the most.
No, that makes
Right.
sense because if you don't know, if you don't try it, if you're not actively, and obviously you have a good skill set to where you can do all these things at a high level already, anyways. But if you don't try them, then you don't know like if that's something you want to pursue or not. And I guess
Right.
the to answer it is like kind of like finding the one that would bring you the most money with also crossing off, enjoyment as well. So like
Yeah,
I guess
exactly.
my question is out of all these services that you mentioned, which one do you think, in your opinion, would potentially be the most lucrative service for you? That could potentially make you the most money, just out of curiosity.
What up, what up, what up, my fellow co-host bros and gals? This is Matt here from the Co-host Bros podcast. Look, STRQ is insane. It's like Zillow property finding. I use this for comparables to show my owners. I create a comp set. I'm like, here, this is what it is. This is how I can help you. This is what I can do. But look, here's the deal. I talked to Matt Sanderson. We had a couple conversations and I was able to get some stuff for you guys. I was able to lock it in. So first, I locked in a 7-day free trial. Any plan you sign up for, automatically 7-day free trial, cancel anytime. Second, you want to go monthly because you don't want to pay for a year or for a quarter. Cool. Use co-host bros 10. I got you 10% off of that monthly subscription. But wait, if you want to go quarterly, I got you 15% off of that. So use co-host bros 15 if you want to use a quarterly subscription. If you want to go annual, first of all, the most biggest bang for your buck, cheapest monthly, plus I got you 20% off. Co-host bros 20. And once again, don't forget there's a 7-day free trial and it's going to blow your mind. So why not start today? All right, back to the show.
I think definitely direct bookings, especially if you have multiple properties and design like a fully fleshed out website with basic SEO to start. You know, people that have 10 plus properties or 20, um, that's where it really starts to get up their dollar value. So it's like if you think about it, co-hosting, you could work your ass off. Things could be breaking. You're communicating with guest cleaners, all the shit's going wrong, which I've been dealing with on the properties. And you might pull 1,000 or 1,500 bucks for the month, right, for like a high revenue property. But I could build a direct booking website, like a basic one, single property for around that or more. So it's like that obviously takes about a week and a half, maybe even 2 weeks, depending everything all lumped together. So it's like, that's where I'm kind of thinking of like, what can make me the most money with less stress and less involvement, especially, with websites. I can start to build a team and delegate some of the things that are a bit more menial that I don't necessarily have to do. Maybe not the design aspects or the SEO or the marketing pieces, but maybe just like kind of data entry into the CMSs, content management systems of just like inputting, details about the property or just running it through ChatGPT. Like those kind of little steps, I feel like could be outsourced to where I could take on more more clients. Because like, but the one downside I would say is like it's project based, so you might have a really big, high value website, but once it's done, like it's not there, it's not recurring. So that's why I still think it's valuable to have the recurring revenue with co-hosting clients because it's stable, right? Especially with a kid on the way, that's where my mind is at. It's like what's going to be the most stable. Obviously things can happen, but to me that recurring revenue is pretty huge for me right now. So it's kind of like trying to figure it out as we go. It's funny you ask that because I ask myself that, every week of like, where am I going to actually focus? So I think right now I'm just kind of building up my brand in general, Maverick STR. Like we kind of just do it all, which is pretty much me at this point. Like I do it all. It's funny when I put like the third party language, in marketing stuff, but it's like, no, it's me. So I have to think of like how much can I actually take on to where I can yield really good results and give them, I like to over deliver and, give my best to clients. Like I would hate to have too much going on to where I can't service the client correctly. Like I would say no at that point. Yeah. Yep. That's definitely a big thing. Like I have a VA that does help with things. I generally will outsource and delegate stuff that I can like put like do it myself, like on a scribe and get that walkthrough, and I can delegate it over where it's like really repeatable. But it's hard if there's changing aspects to it to kind of train a VA in that way. So I like to do if it's like a super repeatable task. Um, I don't know if you guys have been looking into it, but I mean, it's relatively new. But the AI agents, like I'm definitely looking into that a lot more of like building out, actual agents that can perform tasks that I'm doing that you could probably do better and faster. So, market research, researching competitors, looking at your past analytics and spinning out, things quickly or even for new clients. Like take all of their data, all of their pass messaging to clients, feed it to an AI, and have it spit out like actionable stuff and bullet points of like it would have taken you, many hours to figure that out. So, and then the aspect of it able to search the web, you know, with the operators, like you can start. There's just so many things you could do. My like mind is spinning, and I'm trying to like learn it all, but I want to implement that into my business to where I can have an agent that's specific for copywriting, specific for revenue management, and just it has a knowledge base and it can help me, kind of take some load off. Yeah, so you could have like a specific marketing AI agent. You can train it with all the data and all the things that you have that you want to feed it about your property or your business or something, and you can have it be working 24/7. So like with the, you know, uh, for the web stuff, like I'm looking at the website right here. So you can basically like scrape websites consistently. You could funnel that into ChatGPT to do whatever you want with the data and then output it to like Google Sheets. So there's like tons of use cases where you can like any task that you can think, there's a way to build an AI agent to hook up to some type of tool to perform that task. So that why I'm like, there's so much you can do with it. It's hard to be like, I'm gonna have it do this one thing, but I'm slowly starting to test out, some things. Like I fed it all of my revenue data from Hospitable, um, and I had it like give me actual insights. I already kind of knew it, but it was cool to just see it spit out, you know, specific, seasonality and like things I already knew. Like I already know the seasonality, but it like put it all together into like a very cohesive, bullet point list. So like say if that's your first time taking over a property, like that'd be super, super valuable to have to send it all the data that you have to give you some actionable insights. Yeah, so you can do like SEO research, you can have it write content for you, which I think is a huge use case for direct booking websites is, find your target keyword, which it can do the research for you, but write me, a piece of content that's 3,000 words that checks all these boxes, write it in this tone. Here's the kind of like subject matter, and it spits out something better than you could probably write, if you took all the time to do it, but it does it in minutes. So there's just so many things you can do, and there's so many players in the space. So I think right now I'm just trying to figure out which software would work the best because there are a lot of like super complex ones that require coding or like a super deep knowledge of coding where I'm just like, that's a bit out of my wheelhouse. I'm not a developer, but there are some kind of plug and play ones that are similar to like a Zapier that you can kind of, it's easier to use. So it's moving so fast because Operator came out with ChatGPT, then DeepSeek R1 came out, which was like, hey, we're completely open source, and then all of these things are just popping up out of that. So it's like if you start to learn something a week later, it could be obsolete, and there could be a new version. Like ChatGPT just came out with a new version like a couple days ago. So yeah, yeah. So you would create you would create a blog and then create a specific post in the blog so that content would go on your blog specifically, not your main page. But the key would be to interlink from that blog piece to some other main page on your website. So like it allows when you link back and forth. So obviously you don't want to be posting that content on the home page, but maybe a specific page could be like 10, things to do in your area, top restaurants in Nashville, like that could be a main page. But then you have a blog piece that goes into specific places, so that way you can start ranking for those local keywords. Um, but yeah, you would want to create like so like a slash like the slug would be slash blog and then slash post or whatever the WordPress is different than Wix and Squarespace, but yeah, you'd create a specific post for that target keyword, which ideally you want one target keyword per piece of content. No, it's all organic. Honestly, yeah, honestly, the best way is just to provide value constantly. So I'm giving out free value. Like I'll send contracts to people, like, hey, I'm a new person. Like I got my first lead on, because someone just messaged me because they saw that I was willing to give away, my contract template. So she just reached out. She's like, "Hey, can I see that?" Like, I'm happy to help. Like, if you have questions, I get on calls with people for free. I don't really expect anything, but like, if I can provide value to you, and help you out, and then building that relationship has led to all of my clients in the space. So I'm just super active on Facebook in groups. Posting content has brought me some leads as well. I think that's definitely, a great way. Um, I haven't done marketing because I just don't think I could handle the, the type of volume. If I landed 10 more clients, I couldn't handle it, right? So I think going at the organic pace that I'm going is fine for me because I can service them, based on my bandwidth. But if I did build out a team, absolutely, I'd be running ads. So you'd see my face all over Facebook and, doing that thing, retargeting. You'd get into my retargeting with Matt and Austin and just keep hitting you with ads. Yeah, I'm gonna make a list of just you two and just blast the weirdest ads at you. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. A lot of referrals, honestly. Like, I try to do the best job that I can for all the clients I've worked with. So especially direct booking sites, people just refer me out. Like, so they talk to someone, they're like, "Hey, who built it?" And they just refer me over, which is obviously the best marketing, word of mouth. They trust what their friends and close people, tell them. So that's kind of where I've been focused, and it brings me joy too to like answer questions and like give value to people, because I remember, starting out in this business or other businesses, like, if you don't know what you're doing, and some people could be rude of like, it might be super easy for you, but like for a new person, just have grace and like give them an actual real answer that they can apply to their business. Cause I appreciated that early on. So, it kind of comes from that like coaching. I like to help people and coach. So it's worked for me, and there's just not really, there hasn't been a need to really market yet, but I've been working on SEO specifically for my website. uh, that's kind of where I've been focusing, just the long term, increasing traffic and increasing ranking for, the keywords that I'm after. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's all rolled into Maverick STR. Like we offer those services. So yeah, most of my clients, it's a mix of co-hosting and revenue management. Some are just revenue management. But yeah, I offer that services for clients. So I just started a new one, and she's out in Wisconsin, which, like I said, we've been friends for a while now, and I've helped her out with tons of things. We've kind of worked on some projects, and then she was like, "Hey, there's no one I would want other than you to like help me with this property." And then she has another one she's launching that I'm gonna also help with. So I've had different pricing tiers. I've settled on 300 bucks a month because that's what competitors are. I had higher packages, which I found out were higher, but I had percentage of revenue, percentage of profit deals. I had mixtures of those, like hybrid deals, but based on what I've seen with competitors, that's what they're priced at. So I was actually losing out on some deals where, you know, they'd be like, "Hey, what's your pricing?" And I'd be like, "This," and they're like, "Well, I found somebody for cheaper." I'm like, "Okay." So, I would love to have a piece, like a skin in the game, a percentage of profit, like maybe a smaller up front, but something on the back end, because, especially if I'm improving, your revenue through my efforts, like it also incentivizes me to work hard. I'm not saying I wouldn't work hard, but like I do like to have that piece on the end. Price labs. Yeah, yeah. What do you use? Yeah, yeah. I've never used Real Labs. I've seen it and I was like, this looks so different than Price Labs, but obviously you could probably figure it out. Yeah, yeah. I, well, if it's a new property, 1,000% do the 20%. special offer on Airbnb, because that's going to help you right out of the gate. Like if you don't do that, you're doing a disservice. So you can increase your price a little bit more and then take the 20% off. But from there, I would build out a market dashboard in Price Labs and look at your competitors, like your exact competitors, amenities, bedroom size, put them in, like you can do tiers of 1,000 or 5,000 properties. So I'd get whatever makes sense for your market. But I would build that out so that way you can look in the neighborhood data and see how you're pacing price wise. So, if you're a lot of people will overprice themselves, especially early on. I was just chatting with someone from the co-host network she might switch over to me, but I looked at their prices and I was like, it's a 1 bedroom and you're charging similar prices of my 3 bedroom house in the same market. Like that's just insane. So if people, they think I love my place, I put my heart and soul into this place, it's worth X amount, but you need to actually look at the data. And some people can't accept it, but you got to see what your exact competitors are pricing at, because if you are not 1,000 times better than them, you're probably not going to get that price. So you could be a little bit higher in that 90th percentile, but you don't want to be like, some people set their demand factors so high and it just goes like berserk, like, and it just spikes way above everybody. So that would be my advice: is build out that market dashboard for your exact competitor and then monitor that. And then I would leverage rule sets within Airbnb. I like last minute to use custom promotions. Not only can you see the views on it, but you can get all the perks that they give you. Typically only reserved for like last minute stuff, within a week, maybe 2 weeks, because your pricing should dictate further out, your pricing strategy. And then creating rule sets, like I like, length of stay discounts on midweek stuff, like Tuesdays especially, that's not going to get booked a lot, just to incentivize those longer stays to where it heavily discounts like a Tuesday or something. So yeah, I think it's just doing the market research is a big piece, because if you just take the base price it gives you and just kind of go off what you think, like you're probably going to not get booked if you're not actually using the data.
Yeah, I think every market is different for example, like what you're saying. Like if you're a heavily regional travel market where you're getting a lot of, weekend bookings and that's about it, then you got to figure out a strategy of how you're going to pick up like those bookings during the week or getting people to come there to stay longer. So there's so much behind it. And I think people that run revenue management companies, like just because they know how to use Wheelhouse and Price Labs, that's great, but you might know all the bells and whistles of the program, but like what do you know about how the market works? What do you know about how that specific vacation rental market, like what kind of people are staying there? What does the avatar look like? How long are they staying? Like
Right.
doing that kind of research. That's why I think, like, I don't know, for these revenue management companies, this helps like if you're managing there as well, or you're actually familiar with the local market, because then you can create a strategy and game plan based on kind of how that market operates. That makes sense.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think that would be a use case of like a AI agent, is to do that market research for you, because now they can actually search listings and search the internet. I think if you get into a new market that maybe you don't know, you could probably have it give you some very valuable insights right out of the gate, and then use the data, in Price Labs to support that. I think, yeah, it definitely comes down to the data that you're looking at, and every market is different. I've successfully gone into new markets, some markets I haven't even been to, that I've been doing revenue management for a while now. And I think it's just I'm data driven, so it's what's the data telling me and how is the market responding. If it's not responding, we need to make changes and make tweaks. And then I also like to look at average booking windows, which is a huge metric. If I actually built out like a little pacing tracker to see like if I'm in that prime booking window of the average lead time, and if I'm outside of that lead time, I start lowering prices, because I should have been booked by that point, and if I'm not, I can't stay there like with everybody else. I need to start lowering, and I need to make sure it gets booked. Another strategy that's been great, especially for slow season, is other people have said it, but be the first one booked. and I did it for this slow season in Nashville. I got booked, 4 or 5 months ago, because I already knew what the prices were going to be. So I just priced it at a very competitive, fair price, and people booked out. Because previously, which was my first January, for example, in 2024, um, like I thought I could command the same prices, even though it was slow season, or like not the same, but like a lower amount. And then I ended up just lowering, and I ended up getting, you know, nothing basically for these weekends, and because there's no demand at all. So, that was a big thing, is changing the pricing strategy there, because I made more money this year in my two slow months than I did last year, just by knowing that I couldn't get 500 a night, 600 a night, and going for 300 or 400 a night. And I got booked out, and I made more total revenue in the slow season because of that. So I think that having a strategy for seasonality, obviously peak season, super easy, but what are you going to do, and how are you going to plan, for the shoulder seasons and off seasons? Hmm. Yeah. 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 And you're racing to the bottom. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So it feels like you're gonna get less money, but as long as you don't go too low, like it really depends. But yeah, even having at 130 in that scenario, but looking at the comparison of months, yeah, like I had, some vacant weekends last year, and then I had, I remember it too, where it's like just lowering, and getting that like last minute booking for 2 nights. And it's like now with this strategy, I got 3 nights at like a fair value that I was okay with, in that 300 range, 3 to 400, and the overall revenue was greater. So, I think that's an important thing to just prepare ahead of time, especially, some people only have their calendar 6 months, 9 months out. Like open that calendar up and make sure it's priced accurately, because there's only so much demand in the slow season. Like it might be 20%, 30% occupied. So if you're not one of those first ones booked, like you're pretty much going to be vacant. Yeah. 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 Exactly. Yeah. 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 And they ask for a discount. They're like, "Hey, can I get a discount?" No. Uh, but yeah, it's there's so many pieces. Like all the like revenue management, co-hosting is such a huge umbrella. Like they're just like even optimizing your listing goes a long way. Making sure that it's optimized for the platform that you're on. Leveraging rule sets within Airbnb, and the custom promotions. Like there's just so many little levers that you can pull. It's not just setting the prices, or lowering a certain percentage in price labs. Doing that market research is pivotal, and watching your competition, because if you're way higher than them, like and they're very similar, like you're probably going to lose out, by like maybe they're $50 lower than you, but just got to monitor that, and it's huge. Yeah. 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 I've thought about it for sure. Same with the marketing piece of just like walking people through how to set up Facebook ads and like understanding it. There's been a lot of interest in those areas. I've even posted like a poll about it. So it's definitely on the docket of just like, you know, I think to where people could understand it, how to, set up market dashboards. Like I built out a calculator that helps, figure out your seasonality and how to weight each month based on like your target revenue, which I can send you guys. But just, yeah. And then it has like a pacing sheet in there. But yeah, just, I think there's a lot of stuff out there and but I think if you can just kind of hone it in to make it easily digestible for people to like really understand how to use it better. And I think there's a missing piece in the market, specifically for revenue management and marketing. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 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 absolutely. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, find me on Facebook, Chase Gilmore, and then my website is maverickstr.co. You can check out all of our services and set up a call. If there's something specific like direct bookings, revenue management, marketing, just reach out there or just message me on Facebook. I'm pretty active, on Facebook Messenger, even my Instagram. So any questions that you got, I'm definitely happy to answer. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right. Yeah, you did a good job, man. But yeah, thanks again, Chase, for coming on, man. It was awesome. Peace.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. All right.
The Co Host Bros Podcast.